I slowly woke from my sleep, feeling the ache of the morning consume and rush through my body relentlessly in an attempt to keep me contained in bed. I didn't mind. I was pressed against a warm chest, one whose arms I adored to be in. The nightmare plagued my thoughts, but my heart fluttered in reality, knowing that what I was feeling in the physical world was what I was supposed to care about. I looked up at Sam's sleeping face, giggling at the sight of his messy bed hair. Sam slowly woke from the sound of my laughter, blinking the sleep away to stare down at me.
Morning.
Morning. I smiled and kissed Sam on the lips to help rouse him, only to end up being pulled into a tight and loving embrace with my head buried in his shoulder.
Did you sleep okay?
The second time, yeah. Sam nodded in understanding against my shoulder as I wrapped my arms around him. I felt so warm and safe within the confines of his embrace that the thoughts of the nightmare I had vanished from my mind. It would come back, but it was gone for now. Kiss him again. I pulled back a bit and kissed Sam once again, smiling happily and running my fingers along his back. Sam gently squeezed me and kissed me back, melting into the embrace between us. Morning kisses with Sam felt wonderful, and I didn't want to get up or pull away. I simply desired to relish in the feelings I had for Sam and let him completely take over my thoughts.
Hey.
Yeah?
Since we're in the demon world, do you think that maybe...
I opened my eyes to look over his shoulder, trying to understand what he was insinuating. When it finally came to me, I held my breath in realization. The demon marriage?
You don't have to decide right now, but before we go back, maybe think about it?
I wasn't sure what to say. My mind danced across the idea of binding my soul to Sam. But at what cost? I'll think about it. Sam nodded in understanding, kissing my shoulder. I knew it was something Sam really wanted, but was it something I was willing to go through? Sam gently loosened his embrace and pulled away to look at me with a tired smile.
I don't want to get up yet.
I laughed, knowing this was how Sam operated in the morning. He was definitely not a morning person, so seeing him curl up to me and ask permission to stay in bed was still an endearing sight that reminded me how much I loved him. My heart warmed and I smiled and kissed his forehead. Then we don't have to. We can sleep a little longer if we want. Sam smiled and closed his eyes, pulling me against his chest with a hearty chuckle.
Good. We can go eat later.
Our peace was broken, unfortunately, by the sound of a knocking at our door. Sam and I let out a simultaneous groan. Our plans were ruined.
Go away!
Perfect reaction.
Sam, we brought breakfast.
We'll eat later!
Are you seriously going to argue with me?
Yes, it's the kitchen scene all over again.
Come on, it's like 9 a.m.
Now I was getting upset. I wanted to stay in bed, feel Sam's arms around me for a little while longer. Was that so much to ask? Screw breakfast. We have 3 more hours until noon.
Oh my god, just get up already. We're burning daylight here.
No. Sam and I whined, now irritated that our plans to sleep in became ultimately impossible. However, we both understood that today was a new day and we had to start preparing to take on the Demon Lord. I slowly rose and sat up in bed, yawning as Sam begrudgingly followed suit. All right, come in. The door opened and in poured the Incubi brothers and their wives, carrying a plate of food each. James and Iridessa held out 2 extra plates for me and Sam.
Thanks, Dessa.
You're welcome, Sparky.
Thank you, James.
Of course.
James and Iridessa moved away from us as we both looked down at our plates. On it were fruit slices, bread, cheese, and some sort of jerky I didn't recognize. It was probably safe, knowing that the others were eating it as well. Sam, however, lowered his plate to his lap and looked up at his brothers.
So, what's the plan?
Well, we should probably take the next couple of days to train properly. Since we're in Lilith Castle, we'll have access to training equipment.
Lilith Castle? This place has a name? Boys and Irene, Eric's wife, nodded in reply. Sam stuffed a stick of jerky in his mouth and began to chew on it as Damien began to explain.
The first succubus, Lilith, was exiled here after being cast out of Eden by the heavens. She became a demon and soon began to breed more incubi and succubi than the world could control.
Wait, Lilith as in Lilith from the Bible?
Yes, During her time here, she established a kingdom with this very castle at its heart.
It's a pretty castle indeed. I've never had the pleasure of coming here.
Meh, I'm not really a fan of it.
Her face looks so unenthused. Like, really, Matthew? Really? Kill my fucking dreams. Sam swallowed the bite of jerky he had in his mouth and licked his lips, joining the conversation.
Alright, so we train until we can't anymore.
Obviously, we'll need breaks in between, but we can't afford to let a day go by without intense training. We only have a week after all.
Yeah. Worry began to bubble back into my mind. Everyone was willing to step up and start training, but Eric was right. We only had a week to prepare for the Demon Lord. Would we be strong enough in time?
You fear too soon, child.
Huh? I straightened up my back and looked around, hearing the voice from my dream echo through the air. Everyone else looked at me curiously, wondering why I spoke up.
Wait, what?
Did you say something?
I looked around at everyone, seeing their confused faces. Did they not hear the voice?
They cannot hear me, child.
I shook my head, rubbing it gently with a nervous laugh. Sorry, I thought I missed something. The confusion in everyone's faces dissipated as everyone got back to the topic at hand. One I couldn't remember or focus on. My thoughts went back to the voice, wondering how it was speaking to me and how it knew what I was thinking.
I am closer than you imagine.
What do you mean?
Be patient, child. The time for answers will come soon enough.
I grew more and more concerned and confused. What was this spirit talking about?
I am no mere spirit.
Then what are you?
That I cannot tell you yet. When the time comes, you will know.
This was mildly scary. A voice in my head was speaking to me, and I could only speak back in my thoughts without anyone knowing what was going on. I looked around to see everyone still speaking to each other, but I couldn't focus on what they were saying. All I could focus on was the voice in my head.
Answers will come when the time is right. For now, I will bid you farewell.
Wait!
Whoa, wait, what?
I didn't realize I spoke aloud until everyone looked to me again. I looked to Damien, wondering if he heard everything going on in my head, but he seemed just as confused, if not more so, than the others.
You alright?
I'll tell them. I sighed. They had to know what was going on. Well, I just heard this voice in my head.
Huh?
A voice in your head? But I didn't hear any other voice but yours.
Did it sound like anyone you know?
I shook my head, remembering the sound of it. It was deep and echoey, masking any relatable trace from it. For all I knew, it was some sort of illusionary creation of my own mind. Then again, if I created it, then Damien would have been able to hear it. I sighed and rubbed my head. It was some sort of deep voice telling me to be patient and not be afraid. It wouldn't tell me its name. I became worried about everyone thinking that I was crazy. I knew I wasn't, but I definitely sounded like someone who wasn't mentally there. Sam, however, wrapped an arm around me and hugged me to his side.
Well, whoever that voice is, it's right. There's nothing to be afraid of.
I wouldn't be too sure about that just yet.
Everyone in the room turned their heads to see Diana and Seiro standing at the door. Diana stepped further into the room as Seiro stood at attention, watching her.
You five have been gone during the 10 years of this war. You do not seriously believe that you will be ready for this in a mere week, do you?
Diana seemed firm and serious. I could understand why, but a part of me felt a bit angry that she shut down our pep talk. Sam glared at Diana.
And if we do?
Then it is a foolish mistake.
How so?
10 years of absence can be unkind to one's abilities.
To be fair, it has only been 2 years for us.
Regardless, when was the last time any of you actually fought in battle?
Silence consumed the room. She was right, however, we weren't willing to give up that easily. I stood and placed my plate on the bed behind me. Why does it matter? We're going to defeat the Demon Lord either way.
We will. But there is no reason to try and breed ideas of false hope that it will be easy. Too many lives have been lost in this war, with the hope that they'll all survive. It's better to be realistic.
The tone of her voice echoed a heavy warning. No doubt she had seen hundreds or thousands of deaths in the war firsthand. But now was not the time to doubt ourselves. Sam stood up as well, standing at my side in defiance.
Fuck that! If you're right, then hope's the only thing we got.
Cero stepped up to Diana's side, giving Sam a blank stare in return for his mistress.
Hope can only take you so far. Do you truly believe it will help you defeat the Demon Lord?
I felt Sam take my hand and nod, affirming his words. I smiled and squeezed his hand, agreeing. Cero and Diana stared at us, with Diana crossing her arms. Something was on Diana's mind. She stared at Sam just from looking in her eyes. What was it?
Can you say that with confidence?
I can. Want me to?
Not to derail the topic, but this is a waste of time. We should be preparing for war, not bickering about if we can or not.
A moment of silence passed through the room as Diana stared at Sam sternly. However, she was distracted, distant from the conversation, as if she were stalling time to have her thoughts wander. What was keeping her real attention?
Well, I'm not going to argue about this. Believe what you wish.
Sam and I waited and watched as Diana lowered her arms to her sides with a sigh.
However, we do have something to discuss.